Your health matters and your voice deserves to be heard. Introducing the show that puts you at the center of the conversation. From common illnesses to complex conditions to the questions you've always wanted answered. Top medical experts.
The cost of maintaining that bed on a daily basis 24/7, because an ICU is a 24/7 unit. One single bed can cost between 2 million and 4 million per day.
Real questions from the viewers, practical answers you can trust. Now, join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. as we talk openly about issues that affect you and your family. Health Q&A talk show, your health, your say. It's the Health Q&A talk show, your health, your say is our tagline. That's what we normally say. A very good morning to you. My name is Sophia Matovu. Now, today we're going to talk about a rather unique condition. Some of us think it's possibly not medically related, but trust me, it is. It's not painful. It is there quiet. It might not seem harmful, and that is cholesterol. Now, I'd like to tell you that high cholesterol is one of the leading causes of heart disease today. Yet many people don't even know that they have it. For us, we believe we are good, we are well for as long as I am able to eat, I'm able to move, but we do not know that we are possibly having cholesterol issues. Senior consultant cardiologist. And also with me in studio is Dennis Musoga, a principal nutritionist at Uganda Heart Institute. I'm sure for him you might have seen him somewhere on set here on UBC. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'd like us to start by the usual cliche question, because when we talk about cholesterol, somebody might not know what it is. We know about some of the oils we use and they'll tell you the cholesterol, this, the other, but how? Now when we talk about the human person, doctor, what is cholesterol?
Cholesterol is a substance that is produced by our liver body. So the hormones, which are steroid-based, these ones all have a cholesterol as part of their building blocks and vitamin D. So cholesterol is quite useful, much as we commonly, what you always hear it is from the negative point of view. But in the body, cholesterol is very useful.
Okay. Now I'd like to get to Dennis. I believe we also have issues where you tell us that when we're, in terms of our dieting, reduce on the cholesterol intake, the other. Now help tell the difference, because he's talked about us having it in our bodies, that's but right. We're also taking it in through the foods we eat. That's right, yeah. Please go ahead.
Like Dr. said, cholesterol is mainly made by the liver, and the liver needs building blocks. Now most of these building blocks come from the foods that we take. And that's basically fats, especially the saturated fats, and then the carbohydrate fats as well. So the body gets the building blocks and then builds up the cholesterol from the liver. Yes.
Okay. Now, when we talk about it, how bad is the issue, doctor? I get back to you. Because we normally have this where you tell us, or you get people on and you tell them your cholesterol levels are high. This is bad cholesterol. What is bad cholesterol? What is good cholesterol in the body?
So, in the body, as you've defined, we have different types of cholesterol. Commonly, when you are sent to the laboratories for blood tests,
that's right.
There are a couple of cholesterols that it's a cholesterol panel, or they call it a lipid profile. It's what we call the low-density lipoprotein, which is commonly written as LDL. This is the bad cholesterol. Then the high-density lipoprotein, which is the HDL, is one that is useful to the body. And yet again, we do a total which combines both the bad and the good, so that you know what's happening. Then we have the triglycerides. These are the direct fats in the system.
Okay, Dr. Dennis, I saw you would like to add.
The doctors brought it out very well. Usually when we talk about bad cholesterol, we mean the one which is detrimental to your health. The LDL, we call it the low density lipoprotein, very detrimental. And usually that comes from fatty foods, you know, especially the animal type, the fatty foods, very detrimental. But on the other hand, we have the, you hear it, and that runs through, it looks at the total cholesterol, looks at the HDL, looks at the low density lipoprotein and the triglycerides as well. And what we're looking for there is to make sure that HDL is higher. I mean, the higher the HDL, the better. Because I mean, if the soldiers are many, then the enemy will be fought out very well. Yes.
So I think what we should understand is when we talk of the low density lipoproteins, in other words, these are tiny particles that can easily penetrate the wall of the blood vessel. And deposition of this, there's a process we call atherosclerosis.
That's right.
This is a process where you have a buildup of bad cholesterol that collects within a blood vessel over a long period of time.
That's right.
In the process of the buildup, the vessel goes on narrowing.
That's right, yeah.
And this is what peaks at the age of 40, 45. And because it's narrowed and you have compromised blood supply to the heart muscle, because the blood supply is now limited,
That's right.
like that heart muscle is choking, you start getting chest pain.
That's right.
So the process starts in childhood. But as in the process of growing up, we are going through different stages.
Absolutely.
The habits we acquire over time. What is your body habitus? Are you obese or not? Have you picked up smoking? Are you drinking a lot of alcohol? Have you built up a sedentary lifestyle? Have you developed diabetes or hypertension? All these peak as you get your age advances. That these accelerate the process that lead us to get these heart diseases where we get
That's right.
heart attack.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
okay, how much does dieting, contribute to helping in terms of, like, even if you might have been...
If we can change the diet and make sure that the diet we're taking is low in cholesterol or without cholesterol, then the cholesterol will come down. Actually, if a patient shows up and like he said, and the risk factors are limited, like for instance, he's not obese, he's not very old, you get the point, and the only challenge he has is cholesterol, then diet can eliminate that. You get the point. But the more the risk factors, maybe drugs could come in, the more the risk factors. But most importantly, the moment a person shows up and the risk factor they have is high cholesterol, they are well-shaped, they're not very old, they are active, they're not obese, then diet alone can treat cholesterol. Yeah, that's how important diet is.
Okay. Then in terms of the kind of patients you people see, has that got to do with who are the dominant ones in terms of gender and possibly age? Because now I believe, like you're a person who's written a book, you have some of those facts clearly spelled out from what you're saying. Who are more pronounced? Is it more the females? Is it more of the males? And possibly the Y factor?
Well, the number is almost the same. It's almost the same. There's no woman, there's no man as well. But you get a point. Most of the time they're in the kitchen and stuff, and given their physiology, how their body's made up, they could be having higher cholesterol sometimes, but the numbers usually the same.
So I think if you look at those who their health-seeking behavior, you may think that is they come in.
Oh yeah, true.
But because of the varying health-seeking behavior, but we know that the risks in men compared to women before menopause, the risks are higher in men than the women. But once the protective effect of the women hormones goes away, then this is then it equalizes that there is everything. Is that you have to look at this individual and decide
As a whole.
whether on the diet is going to work for
That's
him.
right.
Quit smoking, whether he needs to cut down on his alcohol, or are there other existing diseases like diabetes
That's right.
or thyroid disease? Because when you start individualizing the therapy, then you have to look at this individual and tease out what else am I missing.
That's right. That's right.
Because if I just say diet alone, you will realize it may not work for everybody.
That's right.
And it has been mentioned we have the genetic risk component. There are those who are going to have very high levels of the bad cholesterol. So each is approached in a different way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to that, because how should somebody manage, given that we do not have any warning signs? They all know that for a fact. Some people first will even complain of chest pain. Now, but by the time they're complaining of the chest pain, the cholesterol has accumulated over a period of years.
Damage the body.
Yeah. How do you go about it, Dennis?
Check. I mean, we advise people to do a health audit. And one of the things people should do or check out is cholesterol, in addition to BP, blood pressure, in addition to your sugar levels. You get the point? Cholesterol should be one of the things should be checked.
I mean, that's why we went down on alcohol intake, because the journey to a healthy state is you start by prevention.
That's right.
But if it has hit you and you have the end result, like you've had now a heart attack, subsequently we call it secondary prevention, because once you've had a heart attack, it will still come back. So when peak
for those for managing the bad cholesterol, it's a medication.
So your statement is, so the drugs for cholesterol, one, will first of all depend on how bad were your arteries hit. Two, what are the levels of your cholesterol? That's why we do them periodically. At a certain point in time, the drugs will be stopped for the cholesterol. Once you are within the ideal normal ranges. But what you may not have to forget is that you have to watch the appropriate diet management.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now I get to Dennis, now that you're saying they go hand in hand. Dennis, I would like you to share a bit, because certain times people have issues and struggle with consistency when it comes to maintaining the diets. For the first 2 months maybe, then along the way they fall short and get back to their normal traditional way of eating.
Lifestyle. I mean, young people eat anyhow. You're hearing that? They eat anyhow.
Wow. Doctor, yes.
So it's not so common that in the younger age brackets you'll find those who are going to get these diseases that lead to heart attacks in the young age brackets. But in those countries where it is, the genetic disorders of high cholesterol, those are the triggers for that. Two, substance abuse.
That's right.
Those of us can trigger such attacks in the young age group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any specific foods one needs to cut out on or to reduce intake to be able to manage cholesterol?
Sure.
Please go ahead.
Skin off, if you're to do your rather eggs, get calories, the carbohydrate foods. I usually tell my clients, whenever they have a plate of food, to divide it into 4 quarters. Now the first quarter should be a protein food, and then the second quarter should be the carbohydrate food, and then half the plate, the 2 quarters should be fruits and vegetables. So the moment you take in plenty of fruits and vegetables as your main diet, then there's no way you can get cholesterol. You hear that? So basically the trick is eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. That should be your major food on your plate, as you know. And once you do that, then you'll have cut down the cholesterol completely. Tobacco smoking, that happens in young people so much. And these are triggers for cholesterol buildup. I mean, where they damage the vessels, inflame the vessels, and it will be easy for cholesterol to, deposit on the walls.
Okay. Now, doctor, how effective is exercising in trying to manage the cholesterol? Because you say, like, you get all interventions put together to support
Methods that I use to keep us in shape. And when you look at the way exercise does it's these are affecting the body metabolic mechanisms. Is that when you exercise, it improves on the clearance of the bad cholesterol within the body, and at the same time it improves on raising your good cholesterol within the body.
That's right.
And at the same time, exercising helps modulate metabolic with each other to achieve that goal.
Because you've had, sorry, please.
It has to be consistent.
Because we've had scenarios where they say certain times when they tell people you have to exercise, and then somebody, a first timer, books themselves into the gym and then wants to start with the intense exercises. Am I right?
You're right.
That's
Very right.
Yeah.
So how would you advise such a person, assuming they have all the underlying factors, they are diabetic, they have hypertension, and they have high cholesterol. Now here you are, you've put them on medication, but they also need to have exercise and diet as one of the remedies. What scale or what rate should they start at? How should they go about it bit by bit?
Maybe to make it clear, is that exercise never means going to the gym. Exercise never means going to the what?
The
The gym. Physical exercise is physical exercise. Your chores back home is good physical exercise. But cycling your bike is good physical exercise. Cleaning the yard, mowing the yard, cleaning up the yard is good physical exercise. Playing with your children back home is good physical exercise. So it doesn't mean going to the gym. Actually, the gym may not be so important when it comes to doing physical exercise. As a matter of fact, it may even damage you. We've had folks who have died in the gym where because they were given physical exercise they couldn't handle, their heart couldn't handle it. You get a point. So it's important to go in for normal chores back home. You see, instead of having a maid back home, do the chores by yourself. Cook yourself, mop the house yourself, play with your kids, cycle with your kids, go swimming, go playing. That's good physical exercise. You get the point. But most importantly, it's good to visit a physiotherapist. You hear that? Physiotherapists are experts for physical exercise. They will know the type of exercise that any person probably needs. Yeah.
Now,
So I think for exercising, this tempo is built up gradually. You can't go day one, you've gone to a pool and you want to start from the deep end.
You're drowned.
So you can't go to the gym and want to take on something heavier than what you've experienced before. And two is this is something you want to build up and do consistently.
That's right.
The day you start with what is intense and it hits you, you want to go back.
yeah, true.
So it is done gradually and depending on what is your body type.
Okay, then let's get to the bit of still on the medications. Now I'd like you to explain to the lay person, because there are certain times we get comfortable. One might have gone and done a test and they know that their cholesterol levels are on the bad side, and they get to know that this is what Dennis uses when his cholesterol levels are high.
Is that once one of them runs out of certain drugs, you can pick on the partner's drugs and start rationing them out until that day they will go back to hospital. It is advisable and it's appropriate for you to have a professional initiate your treatment, because what A was given, yes, you may know that his cholesterol is high, but you may not know what other conditions he has, because there are those, like most drugs, the drugs have different types or categories, and there are those that are combined. Because A may have diabetes, B may just have just a high cholesterol. Both have high cholesterol, but A has diabetes,
And cholesterol.
B may be having diseases involving the arteries of the heart. So first of all, the choice will vary. Is that one, if it is an acute like heart attack, someone is going to be given much higher dose of the cholesterol drug, which the one with diabetes was given half of that dose. And then you don't know actually, because you've seen someone taking it and you walked into a lab and did your labs and it's high, but you've not checked your blood pressure.
That's right.
You don't know actually if your diabetes is good.
That's right.
I mean, if your blood sugar is high. And so the choice of medication is individualized. And at the same, because of that individualization of care, you find A will take 3 months and go off the drugs. The other will even hit 100 and is still kept on the drug because many of his blood vessels are so sick in the heart. Drug it affects inflammation. This drug does affect the way platelets behave in the body, and so that in a certain condition that even the drug is given, like if you've had a heart attack, that the drug is given at twice the dose that you give, someone else will be simply raised.
That's right.
So what your friend is getting may not necessarily what you as an individual, just because you've seen him taking it, that I should also take the same.
Hassan, Dennis, you're itching to contribute?
No, and the same applies for diet as well. Typically individualized. Why? Because patients are different. I mean, like you say, one could show up with high cholesterol and diabetes as well, and hypertension as well, and maybe a chronic kidney, disease as well. So that diet is different from a different person who would come in with just high cholesterol. So the individualization is from person to person, not one size fits all. Every patient is unique in one way or the other. One may come in with high cholesterol and obese. Another may come in with high cholesterol and they're not obese. So they can't be subjected to the same diet. The diet is different. You get the point? So it is not smart to copy another's diet. Why? Because probably they have the same condition. Why? They're different in one or the other. So the individualization part is very, very important in disease management. Very, very important.
Okay.
So as stated, even when you get to the panel, yes, we have the levels of bad cholesterol, good cholesterol, and triglycerides. So if the bad cholesterol and triglycerides are high,
Yes.
the choice of medication will vary if just one of those is high. That's why initiating care, you need to be doing it right in front of a profession.
And so is the diet, by the way.
And so is the diet, true. Okay, at this particular point, I'd like us to take a very short commercial break. Then when we do come back, we are definitely going to be in a position to respond to your questions. Since the WhatsApp line is open, you have the experts on set, and they'll be in a position to respond back to you right after this short commercial break. The center of the conversation, from common illnesses to complex conditions to the questions you've always wanted answered. Top medical experts.
The cost of maintaining that bed on a daily basis 24/7, because an ICU is a 24/7 unit. One single bed can cost between 2 million and 4 million per day.
Real questions from the viewers, practical answers you can trust. Now, join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. as we talk openly about issues that affect you and your family. Health Q&A talk show, your health, your say.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
In 1986, a new chapter began. A fundamental change was etched into the heart of our nation. Uganda has since then witnessed a socio-economic transformation under the leadership of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Through peace and security of persons and property, economic growth, infrastructure expansion, health improvements, education, regional integration, industrialization, digital transformation, youth and women empowerment, wealth creation, among others. A nation once in recovery is now a beacon of regional stability. The people have spoken, and the NRM government has been given another term in office. The Board of Directors, management and staff of the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation proudly congratulate His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa upon his resounding victory in the recent elections. Witness history as it happens as we broadcast the swearing-in ceremony on Tuesday, the 12th of May 2026, live at the Kololo Independence Grounds, here on UBC TV, our radio stations, and all our digital platforms. Ugandans, let's protect our gains. Long live NRM, long live Uganda. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Your health matters and your voice deserves to be heard. Introducing the show that puts you at the center of the conversation. From common illnesses to complex conditions to the questions you've always wanted answered. Top medical experts.
The cost of maintaining that bed on a daily basis 24/7, because an ICU is a 24/7 unit. One single bed can cost between 2 million and 4 million per day.
Real questions from the viewers. Practical answers you can trust. Now, join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. as we talk openly about issues that affect you and your family. Health Q&A talk show. Your health, your say. Welcome back from that short commercial break, and thank you for still keeping it locked here with us on the Health Q&A talk show. On set, of course, I have the experts. That is Dr. Sebata and a nutritionist, and that is Dennis. And of course, we're talking about a condition that many tend to ignore and don't even seem to care about. Like we said, it has no symptoms, it is painless. Before you know it, you're in such a state where you need help. Now, Dr. Steele, I get back to you. Can somebody reverse high cholesterol without medication? Is that possible?
My statement, I may put it this way. You can say there's nothing that is impossible. The question is, how bad is this level of cholesterol? If it's something minimal, it will go. If it's just a slight raise, which is mild, it can be sorted. If it has been chronically high, very high, then it's not a magic bullet that diet only is going to make the change. It has to be combined with something else for you to clear it. Yes, for some, dieting is going to work for them. Others will need something else beyond diet.
Okay. Now, besides some of the known conditions like diabetes, hypertension, are there any other chronic illnesses that go hand in hand with high cholesterol?
So, high cholesterol, yes, you can find it in drugs. There are certain drugs that can mess up and you get high cholesterol. Then there's also diseases of the thyroid that can cause that. I think those are some of them where you can have really high cholesterol. Not forgetting, we mentioned that inborn errors of metabolism, where you have high levels of either triglycerides or the bad cholesterol. Yeah.
Okay. Then to you, Dennis, can diet alone help to manage and get rid of high cholesterol?
Like you said, yes and no, depending on the severity. I mean, if cholesterol is low and it has just come, no other factors, diet can reverse it. Like you said, anything is possible. It depends on the time when it's arrested and on the period and the discoveries. At one point, hypertension was a killer. But now hypertension can be properly managed and controlled. So anything is possible. It depends on the time, the severity, and who you see and where you visit. You get a point. So sometimes it's very important to visit the right place for the right thing. You get a point. In Uganda, we have a problem. People visit the wrong doctors for a certain disease. You're hearing that? It's important to visit the right doctors for the right disease, like the Heart Institute. We deal with hearts. So you can't visit a guy for the heart condition, you get the point. So it's important to know whom to visit, when to visit. You see, about 5 years ago, it was recorded about 27,000 people died from heart attack and heart-related conditions. And the number seems to have grown higher. Now, the challenge we have in Uganda is people are dying not because of sickness. They actually die because they don't go to the hospital in time. You're hearing that? They don't go to the hospital in time. By the time they visit the hospital, when it's worse, you get it. And I encountered a patient one time. She was diabetic, and this patient had visited many clinics, and nothing was being done. You're hearing that? Until somebody referred them to me for diet, and then we manage the diabetes. So most important is that patients run about trying to treat a certain condition by going to the wrong people. And by so doing, the condition exacerbates and becomes worse. So it's important to visit the right person. When you visit the right person, the disease will be taken care of or even healed if you visited the right person the first time. And not meander about visiting every clinic and every hospital, in the wrong place.
Okay. Now we have this one say, good morning, thanks for the show. This is Alex from Nebi. May you please explain something about tea and coffee? Because I don't use it, but I'm seeing it's one of the food that helps lower cholesterol. What ratio can you advise me to take? We say there are certain points where we have those myths. Somebody believes that coffee and tea can contribute to lowering one's cholesterol.
Well, one thing I know about coffee and tea, coffee has caffeine, and so is tea at some point. And caffeine is one thing which is not allowed in heart conditions. It increases the palpitation of the heart. You get the point? So we tell patients to reduce the caffeine as much as possible. Now, with caffeine and teas are not known for reducing cholesterol. No, not at all.
Okay.
I think we do have commercial products on the market now. But yesterday we talk of green tea, herbal tea, and others with different components. And not that I've gone out to know exactly what they put there, but it is thought that's what the thought is going to modulate. So once someone picks that tea, so he's not defeating the different types of tea, which is exactly tea are being used. But outrightly, we are not using tea or coffee as part of the modulators in reducing cholesterol.
Okay. Then you have this one. Good morning, UBC and participants. Thank you for the program. What's the difference between cholesterol and fats? This is Tumwini Juni from Chitagwenda district asking the difference between cholesterol and fats.
So we broke it down is that we have, these are structural levels, I would say, that we have the high density cholesterol, low density cholesterol, which is different from the triglycerides, and the triglycerides are the fats, this is like direct component in the bloodstream, while the cholesterol has what with other proteins that are attached to them, which are called lipoproteins, and these are what separates and makes them different from each other.
Okay. Then, good morning, Madam Sophie. My mother was taking hypertension medication. After some time, it's the hospital that advised her to stop taking the medicine because her pressure was normal. Now, after some time, she was told by the physician that her heart had become wide because of stopping the medicine. Now I'm asking, can the heart get back to normal again?
So, once you've been categorized as hypertension, it is also like cholesterol. There are those who are told, no, can you diet? Can you exercise? Let's give you time. And they get out of it. Some you find it's even stress-driven. Then those that fail and you outrightly have to start on treatment for pressure. There are those you're going to give the drugs, being that it's not only the drugs, but as we tell you, fight cholesterol, so is pressure. Deal with your diet, deal with your weight, exercise. At times, work on the environment in which you are. You find some people go for these medications. Then there are those who fail to go for medication. And there are those you have to keep on escalating care. So someone may go for medication, which is okay. But we should advise you that please keep on monitoring your pressures, because your weight can come back. Probably you're still in the stressors that are giving you the same problem. So if these pressures affect your heart, is how early has this disease process been picked? If it's picked early, you can have a reversal of some of these changes.
That's right.
If it's picked late, then you may have some degree of improvement, but you may not return to 100% in normal heart. And there are those where we call it you really see it is hit, and the circumstances are just maintained by drugs, and you don't expect it to get any better.
Okay. So at what point do you give a patient a drug holiday, and possibly why?
So usually those come in where people are having complications with the drugs. Okay? But outrightly, if you have high pressures and you pull out and they go back up, you have to be maintained on
medication.
So these holidays usually are triggered with side effects of these drugs, complications of these drugs. And you find yourself, you even narrow that spectrum is where you're stuck, and you have to pick some of the drugs from.
So it's not a thing an individual should induce on their own, and they feel, I'm tired of taking the medications, let me give myself a week off or 2 weeks off.
It's a kind of challenge that, okay, you'll say, fine. When the pressures go up, take a drug. When they go down, stop. So you start chasing figures. But in your mind, you're not reasoning that, you know what, the drug I'm taking is one that is maintaining my drugs. When I go for the drugs, it goes up. When I come back on the... So I start chasing those figures other than saying, no, let me consistently take my medicine.
Okay.
And that predisposes you to some of the complications of these high pressures. So to answer the gentleman is that if the disease process is picked earlier, chances are you can get a reversal of that process of injury to your heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then hi, I'm Emma. Is it possible for someone to be fat yet not have high cholesterol? That is not
yes, very possible. It's very possible. High cholesterol has no correlation with being overweight. But however, why would you be overweight? I mean, you're not... overweight is a disease itself. It's a complication itself. Like, I mean, it's a predisposing factor to other heart conditions as well. Though you can be fat, like overweight or obese, and yet your cholesterol is very normal. But why would you be overweight? Because it also has its, risks that come with it. Yeah, so the advice is that, well, your cholesterol may be normal, right? But take an initiative to cut your weight down, reduce the weight. Why? Because the overweight itself will still result to other complications of the heart, including cholesterol itself.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
So if I can add on to that, it does not mean because I'm a lean build, I won't have high cholesterol.
Right.
I won't have high blood cholesterol may not be high, or the triglycerides may not be high. So the size may not dictate that you are going to have something abnormal. Even those small-bodied people, you'll find them with high levels of bad cholesterol.
Okay. Then good morning, UBC. Many thanks to the doctors for the show. The doctor explained about a heart patient supposed to be on aspirin for the rest of their lives. What would be the option for someone who isn't supposed to use aspirin? E.g., I have a bleeding disorder, so I do not use aspirin.
So that's a good. By the way, the statement I made, there are always caveats on these things. So that patient I mentioned has to be on aspirin is because he has a small, tiny stent within the arteries of the heart. That's dry. You need to give him something that will prevent blood from easy clotting. So, two, depending on your condition, it's a risk. We look, what's the benefit and which is higher? Is the risk higher than the benefit? If it's, so we find ourselves in such situations that yes, you give a drug, but it may not be so indicated, is that you give the drug but it's contraindicated because someone may have another condition. We tend to face this challenge, but we weigh is, first of all, what exactly is this disease condition you mentioned that I can't take aspirin? Commonly, for those who have like ulcers, we have alternatives to the aspirin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's somebody, and I think this brings in a bit of the herbal remedies. Somebody's asking, what if I'm taking powdered avocado powder? Is it okay?
For what? I mean,
I think they're taking it for trying to manage their cholesterol.
Avocado has some little bit of omega-3, and omega-3 is known to fight cholesterol, you know, to some degree. And if avocado does it, I think the seeds as well could do it. So the answer is yes, you can do avocado, but not for treatment, you know, probably for prevention. You get a point. Alongside other things. Like we said, there's no one size fitting all. There's so many things that you have to be done in combination to meet the target. Like the powdered avocado seed, right? Good. But I'll go along and add high vegetables, high food consumption, reduce the fats, reduce the sugars. Yeah.
Okay.
I think, thanks, Mr. Msoga. So the issue is, this one thing you're doing is not going to sort everything.
Yeah.
You have to, it's only trying to hit the process from one angle. Yet you have to also stem the tide. Is that if I eat foods, is there a way I can stop it from being absorbed? If it gets into the body, is there a way I can have it cleared from and stopped from raising? So you have to hit it from different angles than one.
Okay. Then this is, hi, I'm Mugisha Amos watching from Zombo in Paida Town. I'm told junk food contains a lot of cholesterol. Is that true? What advice do you have for people who have an addiction for junk food?
Yeah, yes, true. The junk food could have a lot of cholesterol. What we mean by junk food is basically fast foods, chips, chicken, and some convenience foods. And most of those foods, the components are usually fat, and high sugars, high calories. And of course, those are the two building blocks for what? Cholesterol. So junk food has a lot of cholesterol. And if you're taking it, you should bring it down and embrace vegetables and fruits and home-cooked food.
True. Then you have, hi, I'm Brian. How does cholesterol relate to my risk of stroke?
So, thanks, Brian, for that question. What we've had so far, we've been narrowed to the heart. And we're looking at the heart where the cholesterol penetrates the artery and narrows it. But wherever there's an artery, the cholesterol is also there. It can create narrowing. It can create narrowing within the blood vessels or arteries that supply blood to the limbs, especially the legs. That can happen to the arteries that supply blood to the kidneys. Even in our eyes, the blood vessels can be affected. So finally, we'll get to the brain.
That's right.
The brain is an organ like the heart. It is fed by arteries. So even the arteries that supply blood to the brain can get narrowed.
That's right.
They can get compromised and clots form there. You have blockage of blood flow to that part of the brain, and it loses function, and you subsequently get a stroke.
Okay. So then there's another one asking, there we go after the avocado. Good morning. Are there some herbal medicines that can help to deal with cholesterol?
We don't really advise people to use herbal medicine. Why? Because most of the herbal medicine is not on dosage, number one. Some of it has not been fully studied. There are no clinical studies that have been done about it. So there's no evidence that some herbal medicines work. So it's not something we usually advise. You know, however, there are so many herbal medicine being talked about that maybe work, that's what they say, but there are no clinical studies to prove that. There's no evidence to prove that, so we don't really advise. Yeah, so the most important thing for bringing down cholesterol is diet, like we say. Yeah, you just eat the way we've said, as simple as that, you know, and maybe do the checkups. Come to the hospital to do your lipid profile and find out how your cholesterol is, and then go back and eat appropriately if you're normal. You don't need the herbal medicine.
Okay. Then, hello, good morning. My name's Lowell Richard. I am diabetic and I have a problem of high cholesterol. I have been put on medication, but sometimes I feel pain in my heart. What could be the problem again causing that pain? Doctor, that's to you.
So, thank you, Richard. Diabetes is a state that will bring about high levels of cholesterol. And when you have chest pain, then you will need to be evaluated, because chest pain can come from any of the organs in your chest. But particularly for the heart, you need to have a doctor do your EKG, which is an electrocardiogram. That's where you have wires put to your chest, and they see the electrical behavior of your heart. That is the window investigation to see whether that pain is absolutely related to your heart or not. So he needs to see a doctor, and he needs to get an ECG done.
Okay.
Because from my point of view, I would think of many reasons for one to have chest pain. But to be more specific for the discussion we are having, he will benefit from an ECG being done on him.
Okay. Okay, I hope you've heard that, my dear. Just save some funds aside and go and have an ECG done. How does consumption of dairy products enhance cholesterol in the body? Should I avoid it completely? That is Bill from Kampala asking you, Dennis.
Well, the dairy products are some of the products that have high cholesterol, especially milk, concentrated milk or whole milk has high cholesterol. We say that cholesterol usually comes from saturated fats. And saturated fats are fats that come from animal products. You get a point, inclusive milk or including milk. Now, to bring that down, we should advise patients or clients to do, you know, reduce fat milk or low fat milk or skim milk. You get a point. Skim milk is milk where fat has been trimmed off. So it's milk without fat. It has other components, the calcium, the blah, blah, but no what? No fat. Yeah, so remain taking your milk, but take it diluted or skimmed. And other dairy products, they usually have high cholesterol.
Okay.
Yeah.
So imagine, interesting that even Innocent from Gulu City was also asking about the same. Innocent, I hope your issue has been addressed. Then, okay, she was still asking about, thanks for the program. As asked, I'm taking avocado powder to replace coffee. I don't know. Still back to you.
Well, take the avocado powder, but not as treatment. Just take it like alongside other things. And also the coffee, we didn't say get off coffee. Reduce the coffee content. Yes, caffeine is bad, but not little caffeine. A little bit of caffeine is good. you get it. Just reduce it. Reduce the coffee. Take your avocado, like you said, alongside other things. Yes.
Okay, now, doctor, this is to you from Agosi Job from Tororo. If someone lowers their cholesterol with medication, why do some still end up with heart problems? What else should be done, or what else should we be paying attention to avoid such a scenario?
So, cholesterol intake is meant to prevent you from getting certain kinds of heart disease. But by the time you start cholesterol, the question would be, what are the other underlying factors? Do you have a high blood pressure? How is your blood sugar control? Are you taking appropriate dosages in the right state of condition? Because that's the bare minimum that has to be met. Is that for a particular condition, you're getting what you absolutely need. And when we talk of heart problems, it goes beyond the limit we see. There are those with valve disease, there are those with heart muscle disease, and there are those with conduction disease, that the electricity of the heart is abnormal. So you're getting treatment in one line does not necessarily mean the other lines are also
being managed,
are also being protected, because the disease patterns that may be affecting the other lines are totally different. That's why we say have good blood pressure control, have good cholesterol control, and have good diabetic control. Those are the basic things we start with that can open up a paradox of problems, because the heart has different parts, and you may, because I'm giving you cholesterol to lower your cholesterol and prevent you from getting diseases of your arteries, does not mean I'm protecting you from the other disease processes affecting other parts of the heart.
Okay. Then he still goes ahead to ask, I've heard that high cholesterol can affect blood flow. How much can that actually impact a man's sexual performance?
So, in terms of, it does not, it's, how do you call it? The flow of blood is just affected by the contents of the components of blood. If there's too high levels of red blood cells, then the flow will be affected. But the circumstances where we deal with cholesterol is we are looking at the lining, the inner lining of these arteries. High cholesterols can affect, and that lining, we call it an endothelium. And it's being diseased because it has factors that regulate blood flow. The blood vessels can contract, they can dilate. If they fail to dilate in certain circumstances, especially in terms of, what was the question?
Oh, okay. He was asking how they affect sexual performance for the male.
For the male sexual function is are you able to, the function is how is one able to get, how will I put it? So you need good flow. You need these blood vessels to dilate. If they can't dilate, then you can't get the size that makes it able for a man to function.
Yeah.
Okay? So you end up getting a dysfunction instead.
Okay.
Maybe to explain further, if you've seen a water pipe, the old water pipes, the metallic pipes, those metallic ones, when they get old, inside they will be clogged with lead. You get the point? And definitely they will cut off water flow. And sometimes the pipe would rot. Actually, that's the reason why they were, changed for these plastic pipes nowadays we use. Now, to get an understanding of what cholesterol does to the blood vessels is the same way how those metallic pipes were affected back then. I mean, the lead piles up, clogs the water pipe rots, likewise the vessels can rot, bulge, and they cause something we call aneurysm. Sometimes tear, to cause what we call dissecting aneurysm and stuff. You get the point? So that's exactly what happens to the blood vessels, the same way it used to happen to those metallic water pipes that were changed nowadays with plastic water pipes. The moment the cholesterol builds up, it narrows that vessels, narrows it, can cut off blood supply, can reduce the way blood is flowing in, and will affect the entire body, any part of the body. The kidneys, the eyes, the brains, any part of the body will be affected by just cholesterol. Yes.
Okay, now here you have, this is Samuel, a biology teacher at SMAC. Thanks for the program. I'm ever emphasizing the same in my lessons. Much appreciated. Your wish is definitely already in place. The program is uploaded on YouTube, UBC's YouTube channel. You can always get it there for future reference as you're requesting. Now, I know many of you are still asking a lot of questions. Good morning. Thanks for the show. If animal products are bad, why is white meat assumed to be okay? This is Nathan in Kampala. There you go, Dennis.
White meat is assumed to be okay because of the low uric acid. The low uric acid. Uric acid is something we hear in gout. You've heard about gout. You get a point. And the reason why we tell you to reduce on the red meat, you get a
The
point.
chicken, lose the skin.
Remove the skin. The point is fat here. Yes. Cut off the fat and you'll be okay to take your fat.
Okay. Good morning, moderator. Does high cholesterol prevent pregnancy? I have a friend who was fat and she was told to lose weight to be able to conceive. Is it due to high cholesterol? Doctor, that's you.
The levels of high cholesterol don't in any way affect one's ability to get pregnant. I think there were other issues. That's why I say these issues of individualizing care. I think that was just part of advice to someone. There must have been other things beyond that.
Okay, now then we'll get to ask a question like, when should someone get their cholesterol level checked? Because there are certain times, you know, people here work hand to mouth, yeah? So somebody will look at it and they're like, after all, it is painless, I'm not feeling anything. Why should I spend that money? I have money for Kameza, I have kids swimming, this and this, I have a school trip, and they try to ration their money appropriately. Even if you're saying twice might seem a lot for them, because I know for a fact that the cost for those kind of routine checks doesn't come small. Guide the layman.
I think when it comes to these tests, there are certain things that one looks at. One is your age. Okay? 2, what other disease conditions do you have? There are those disease conditions that would warrant a frequent check of your cholesterol profile. And you may be disease-free and you are just told to just check it once a year. On the other side, you may not need to hassle through all these. Why don't you eat right? Why don't you manage your weight? Why don't you exercise? Why don't you have a responsible amount of alcohol intake? Why don't you just cut out smoking? So there are things you do that could even stop you from having these tests being done frequently on you. There are things you can do and postpone or abort certain disease processes from getting to you. Okay? You're not going to do them every 6 months if you are free of certain diseases or you've not hit a certain age bracket. There are those in certain work conditions that you have to do annuals. All that has to be done. Okay? So each package is defined or individualized to whoever is standing in front of the doctor.
That's right. That's right.
Your age, what are the other disease conditions you have, what are your likely risks? Are you at high chances of getting a stroke, heart attack? Are you at high chances of getting disease of the artery of the legs? Then all these define how frequent I'm going to do these things on you.
Okay.
There's no, what I may decide for Musoka may not be the same I'll do for Nambiru.
Yeah, true.
I have to have a guiding principle on making these requests.
Okay. Then thanks for the program. I'm Hilda Latim. My mom has heart failure. She loves eating watermelon and pawpaw, cassava flour bread daily. Is it normal for her? And then she has been advised to take 1 liter of water in 24 hours. How can I measure? Is eating fruit, soup, water, porridge part of the 1 liter?
It is.
Okay.
It's part of the 1 liter.
Okay. First, Dennis confirms and says true. The eating of the fruit, soup, water, porridge is part of the 1 liter. And then there was the bit about the cassava flour bread. Among the things she loves eating, watermelon, pawpaw, and cassava flour bread.
I don't know why she loves, but it's okay. Maybe here the most important thing is the amount. How much is she taking? Then the fact that she has heart failure, I'm not sure about her admin levels. You get the point? I'm not sure whether she's edematous, which most likely she could be, especially if she's still in heart failure. So it's important to find out and maybe do the right diet for heart failure. When we're doing the right diet for heart failure, one of the things we emphasize is proteins. Proteins, you get it? Of course, we limit the fruit to 1 liter and many other things. And also checking the weight to make sure you have the actual weight, not the weight as a result of the fruit accumulation and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Then my name is Lawrence. I have reduced the consumption of fats. For example, meat is boiled first and then the fatty water is poured. Then I prepare my meal afresh and on the same side of the chicken. I do the same also and throw away the skin. Does that reduce the fats and cholesterol production in my body?
Yeah, sure, right. That's perfect. That's good.
You're on track, my brother. Then this one goes for people with very high cholesterol that runs in the family. How do newer treatments compare to the usual drugs in terms of effectiveness and long-term safety?
So,
that's to you.
Those with inborn errors of metabolism provide a challenge when you come to treating some of these conditions, that you have to call on a combination of drugs to deal with them, and you have drugs trying to fight. Definitely they run risks of getting complications because of the combinations of drugs you give, because already this is to do with an error when it comes to metabolizing these products in the body, that you have to fight and try and cut down actually from them from getting the secondary source from meals, and then you are left to fight the error that the body has.
Okay. Now we have this one on a light note. Does having a government stomach mean high cholesterol?
So I would assume government stomach, that means there is pot belly.
Yes.
You know, this is where you now get to looking at people's habitats. There are those who are solidly big from top to bottom, and there are those who have these pot bellies. These pot bellies come with the chances with pot bellies, the risks of having diabetes, the risks of having high blood pressure are so high because there's something unique about the metabolism of this, what we call trunk obesity within. And note that everybody, as we stated, the size is not equal to having high cholesterol levels. But we can anticipate that these ones may have problems with their sugar control, they may have problems with their blood pressure control.
Okay.
Maybe to add on that, a pot belly varies. We have a parameter we call waist circumference, the one we use to measure whether your pot belly is out. you get a point, right?
Out of proportion.
Out of proportion, or very, very pot-bellied, you know. So the most important thing is get the right waist circumference. For men, it's about 88 centimeters. You get the point? Well, the moment it's rather, yeah, those are females. For females, it's 88 centimeters. For men, it's about 102 centimeters. So the moment it's lower, it doesn't matter whether it's protruding a little bit. Sometimes, as people age and given the life of the kind of lifestyle, they may have a little bit of what? Pot belly. You get the point. It's not sin. It's not diabolic to have a little bit of pot belly. But get the parameters right. Go in for a waist circumference and find out if it's lower or it's within the norm. You get the point. Actually, this is even more important than a BMI. It's more important than a BMI. You would rather have a high BMI without a pot belly over the normal waist circumference than having a waist circumference which is high and yet you have a low weight. You get the point? So the waist circumference is more an important parameter compared to even the body mass index. Because ideal body mass index varies. Like a weightlifter whose muscula may have over 150 kilograms. You get the point? No fat on them, but their BMI is very high. So the most important parameter is the waist circumference, which is measured by the pot belly. Yes.
Okay. Then good morning. My dad has the same condition. I guess that is high cholesterol. He was prevented from eating both oil and pasted food. What can we give him then?
I don't know why they stopped him from eating oils. When we're talking about cholesterol, we talked about 3 types. We talked about the high density lipoprotein, which we call the good cholesterol. We talked about the LDL and then the triglycerides. Now, HDL, the good cholesterol, can be improved by exercise, but also most importantly, it can be improved by good fat, like olive oil. Olive oil could give you very good high density lipoproteins, sunflower oil. So the oil, I don't know why they stopped with the oil, but I don't think you should stop using oil. Maybe the most important thing is reduce the oil and use the right oil. Sunflower oil, sunseed, olive oil, these are very good oils. They're called unsaturated fats. And actually, they would help to fight the bad cholesterol. So don't stop the oils. Just use the right oils. I usually tell people that one of the ways to tell the right oil is that the clearer the oil, the better. You get the point. Once you can see through an oil, the chances are high that the cholesterol levels in that oil are down or none. Yeah. So use the oil.
Okay.
Yeah, but
then,
limit it.
Okay, then. How does high cholesterol affect the nerves? My dad reached a point of not being able to carry heavy things, and he says it's due to cholesterol. What can he do to improve his health? Doctor?
We don't have a direct impact of cholesterol on the nerves because it's commonly just this impact is felt through its effects on the blood vessel. So that's a kind of gentleman you want to have an engagement with, because for an elderly gentleman with problems lifting, you really want to ask more questions, because yes, there will be nerve problems, but the source is elsewhere, but has nothing to do with the blood vessels.
Okay.
So I think should escalate care to a more specialized doctor to help with that.
Okay. Then is it true that taking warm water regularly reduces cholesterol? This is Michael from Bududa asking.
No, but we usually tell people to take room temperature water, not cold water. Well, warm water does, well, not really. Not really. Yeah, just take your water, warm temperature. Yeah.
Then there is this person who says, I have a problem. They didn't mention where they are, who they are. When I'm here sitting or standing, my heart starts pumping very fast. Doctor.
So now, pumping of the heart, we have, brings in a question, is that, first of all, it can be normal, it can be abnormal. So that's what we call palpitations. He's aware of his heart beating.
You feel it.
We mentioned that the heart has muscle. It has a conduction system. If the heart rates are slow, you can feel the force of those contractions in some people. If the heart rhythm is irregular, you can feel that effect. If the heart beats so fast, you can feel all that. Or if the heart has, the valves are diseased with affecting the volume of the heart, you can feel those beats. So such a gentleman, then I can advise to go see a specialist.
That's right.
Let him get an evaluation of his heart.
Okay. I hope it's very clear to you. And then, hello, my name is Dennis from Chengera. Is there a relationship between all these body parts, the back pains especially when waking up in the morning, or long time resting with high cholesterol? Say something about the numbness. He gets, I think, numbness in the fingers while sleeping.
So cholesterol and numbness a bit, because the cholesterol is traveling through the blood vessels. The numbness is through the nerves. The two are not, they are near each other, but they are not connected. It's not cause that's causing the other. Commonly, the numbness we feel in the hands when we are sleeping. Right now, he feels it when he's sleeping. Time will come when he will feel it when he is awake.
That's right.
The nerves, if I'm to demonstrate, will come from the spine, okay? Then they fan out into the arms. So in the neck bones, there are nerves coming out in between. And these bones are separated by a small plate called cartilage. When he sleeps, I would assume this may be someone elderly. There's a bit of wear and tear in the bones of the neck, that the alignment may not be good, that when he sleeps, it sort of assumes an abnormal position, and this presses on the nerves. And he feels the numbness when he is asleep. So the advice I can give them is to also go and see a specialist who may reevaluate and decide whether they can have his neck, first of all, an X-ray for the neck before they escalate the investigation to other higher investigations. So they need to talk to a specialist who will deep into these symptoms, and then may decide to do an X-ray for the neck.
Okay. Then you have Tracy here saying that from Nabulagala, that when she walks, her heart beats very fast and it pains. I don't know how she can be helped.
So